Hello again, everybody.
Afternoon.
welcome to All Hands on Deck. I am Reverend Acree, and we have been here for several weeks now. 13 weeks. It's been a great run here. We started off All Hands on Deck with a new season, with a new co-host.
Yes.
A new co-host, and Doris has single-handedly taken our show to another level.
Oh, my goodness.
We've brought in great guests.
Yes, we have.
We brought in Reverend Al Sharpton.
We've had some great discussions.
It's been awesome. Reverend Jackson is coming in today. It's going to be off the chain, and I'm so happy to have her. She's a great community leader, a wonderful businesswoman, and a radio personality. Give it up for Doris Davenport.
Thank you. You seem like you were having a hard time finding some of those positive acronyms there.
No, it's easy to describe you because you just do the doggone thing.
Well, I really appreciate it.
Absolutely.
And all of you know that Pastor Ira Acree is the pastor of Greater St. John Baptist Church in the great west side of Chicago. And it's really been my pleasure to be here as co-host of All Hands on Deck. And we are here every week where we are committed to empowering the marginalized and encouraging the masses to be catalysts for change.
All right.
We're excited. And what a great show we have today.
It's going to be off the Richter scale. I wish we had like 2 hours.
I know. This is one of those times when there's so much going on, and the people that we want to talk to today have a lot of insight to add to the subject matters.
Absolutely. We have today joining us one of the great political iconic figures of all times. He has the great analysis. Me and Doris was having a conversation, and I told her that when it comes down to analyzing politics of this 21st century, you can't get it any better than Reverend Jesse Jackson.
That's right.
Yeah, you work for him. You know about him. Come on.
Yeah, I can tell you really. I worked for Reverend Jackson for about 4 years. And this was, I always like to say, in the heyday. When I started working for the Rainbow Push Coalition, there really wasn't a whole lot going on at the time because Reverend Jackson was living in Washington, D.C. as a shadow senator. Reverend Willie Taplin Barrow, whom everybody knows as our beloved little warrior.
Absolutely.
She was kind of at the helm at that time, and she brought me on. But, we brought protests back. And I think the greatest compliment I've ever been paid was Reverend Jackson saying to me, I haven't seen a spirit like that since Fannie Lou Hamer. I said, what?
And we're so happy to have him on. He's a freedom fighter. He's a trailblazer for justice. And he's going to come on and he's going to share his great insight on political happenings and the current events in America. He's going to share his wisdoms on the current issues of America. And he's going to talk about his latest article in the Sun-Times today, entitled Standing Up to Trump. And we're also going to hear from him talking about the Kaepernick issue in general. And I believe
too,
our great leader is on the line. Reverend Jesse Jackson, welcome to All Hands on Deck. How are you, sir?
Reverend Dr. Acree, All Hands on Deck.
Hello, Reverend Jackson. This is Doris here.
So good to hear your voices.
It's so good for us to be able to bring you to the public.
Out here in New Jersey today doing voter registration.
Oh, you're in my home.
Two big states up for play, and that's New Jersey and Virginia. We were in Virginia last week in New Jersey today. The 7th of November, we hope to win these two states. It's a big deal for us.
It really is a big deal, Reverend Jackson, and I just want to commend you for all of your resilience and your work ethic. I've been around you a long time, and your work ethic is second to none. I saw that article today. I want to jump in. I know you're pressed for time. You're in New Jersey, but that article, man, oh, live. You're talking about standing up to Trump. You're talking about us fighting on both sides. Solidarity for the NFL players, and then talking about the real purpose of the initial protest in the very beginning.
With the NFL players, that first of all, they have the First Amendment constitutional right to speak out and protest, but beyond the idea of protesting, you also have the case of the right to work.
Right to work.
Right to a job. You don't have 64 quarterbacks better than Kaepernick. These men, these owners are trying to punish him, and Trump embarrassed all of them, and they came out as if they were agreeing. These guys are very, very, very unkind guys.
It's amazing to me, though, sir, how in Charlottesville you had neo-Nazis, you had white supremacists, and the president never called them SOBs. He never demanded that they should be fired.
Well, the fact is, they had Confederate flags. He didn't speak against the Confederate flag. These guys who've been Confederate flag, all of a sudden they love the American flag. They're Confederates. That's why they're so anti-labor, anti-black, anti-Jewish, and anti-workers. And so we're not going to bow down. We're going to stand up. We're going to fight back. It's the right thing to do.
It's the right thing to do. Some people are upset because it seems as if the protest has been hijacked. People are talking about the solidarity of NFL instead of the structural racism that brought us to this point in the very first place. What's your take on that, Reverend?
Say it again, please, sir.
Many people are talking about Trump has allowed the protests to be hijacked. Instead of talking about police brutality, instead of talking about racism, they're talking about the NFL and solidarity.
Well, he lost another swing at the health care bill. He lost that bill. And he lost, and he did not respond respectfully and quickly to Puerto Rico. And so rather than focus on what matters the most, he is, in fact, using the diversionary tactic. He's using the ball players as diversion and division.
He's playing dodgeball with us. And Reverend Jackson, how proud are you of all of the other athletes around the country who are linking arm in arm, and even coaches in in support of Colin Kaepernick?
Well, many of them, they're embracing the idea because he has embarrassed them. They've not loved him enough to hire him to be a quarterback on their team. I can't give them too much credit.
Well, this is true.
They've not loved him enough to respect his right to protest.
Reverend Jackson, audience.
Ali, after he's been out the ring 3 years, has to fight his way back. You know, they love martyrs but not marchers. Right now, Kaepernick is marching.
Profound. Reverend Jackson, audience says, people love martyrs and not marchers.
Yeah.
They're not supporting his cause. They came to bat.
Sure, I'll tell you that.
They came to bat only after their monies were challenged.
Yeah.
In the revenue.
That's right.
The president's trying to make athletes who take the knee an example. But the ironic thing is, he's talking about, Reverend Jackson, about these guys being unpatriotic. It would seem that he's the one that's been unpatriotic, disrespected a Gold Star and John McCain.
I went to jail in 1960 trying to use the public library. I went to jail, locked up. The flag was flying. My father came from World War II and had to sit behind Nazi POWs. The flag was flying. Matter of fact, the Klan have the flag and the Bible.
Klan has the flag and the Bible.
And the Bible. And Reverend Jackson.
You're swinging hard, Reverend. You're swinging hard.
You travel around the world, really educating people on the issues of human rights. What kind of credibility does the United States president today have in any country on the issue of human rights when he will not even stand up for the rights of...
A nationalist does not care that much about what other people think. They're so caught up in their own self-worship, narcissism. But the struggle with him in Russia, that's not over. The American people will find that he's not in the interest of the country.
Reverend, where do we go from here? Where do we take this energy? This is a time that we must do something.
Yes.
Well, one thing that in Illinois, for example, we have automatic voter registration. We're going around that state now with the several schools last year, going around that state, showing you how to register and vote on the new system. If you get your driver's license, you get your registration automatic, for example. We won a big victory in Illinois. That's one place to go. Second place to go is to turn to each other, not on each other. this issue of too much hatred and violence, not enough love. Let's fight for the right thing.
So we got to take this energy to the polls, Reverend, and not just protest. We got to take our souls to the polls, as I've heard you say so many times.
That's right.
If we take our souls to the polls and stop them from nullifying our vote by stealing, we can win.
Yes, we can.
Vote is valuable. That's why it's always so attempt to take it away so much, because it's valuable.
Yeah.
It's a tug of war for the soul of America.
Yeah.
We cannot give up. And you will listen to me if you want to stay in touch with what I'm doing at Rev J. Jackson on Twitter. Like me on Facebook, Reverend Jesse L. Jackson Sr. Let's stay in touch, man.
Let's stay in touch, Reverend.
Hey, Reverend.
Reverend Jackson?
Reverend Jackson?
Yes.
Keep hope alive.
Every trip.
Thank you so much.
Have to see
Ladies and
more.
gentlemen, Reverend Jesse Lewis Jackson, one of the right-hand men of Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.
Thank you so much.
All right. We have had a great opening
Yes.
guest.
Yes.
And now we're going to be joined by this great attorney, who is the attorney of Kenneka Jenkins, mother, the young lady who was found dead in the freezer in Rosemont. What a sad,
Very
tragic
sad.
case here.
That's a really tragic death, and it's one that's really captured the public's attention in a way that a case has not captured the public's attention in a very long time.
It's a national story.
Yes, and I think it's kept social media alive. There's so many people that are playing amateur detective now and understand that they're coming up with some pretty good leads.
Absolutely. Thank God for social media. On the line we have attorney Larry Rogers Jr. How you doing? Welcome to the show.
Hello, sir.
Hello, how are you? Thanks for having me on, Reverend.
Listen, you are one of the hardest working men. I'm just so privileged. I go from Reverend Jesse Jackson to one of the premier counselors in America right now. Listen, Doris and I are just privileged and honored to have you on today. This was a national story. It was a tragedy. Let me just ask, number one, how is the mother doing?
Yeah.
Well, let me just say, Teresa Martin is a fantastic woman with a true, genuine, God-given spirit. She really, really is a good person. And, you know, when the story comes out about all the things that she did and the efforts that she undertook for her daughter, I think people will gain even more of an appreciation for what an amazing lady she is. She's still grieving. She's still struggling with some personal health issues.
Sure.
But she's still strong. She's a very strong woman, and it's an honor to work with her.
Absolutely.
Yeah, this is great. You know, Counselor, I have to ask you this question. Rosemont has been in the news for decades for corruption and all kinds of issues on many, many levels. And one of the things that we really want to know just off the bat, is the police department cooperating? Are you satisfied with the investigation?
Talk to us, Counselor.
You're a lawyer. You're trained to look for inconsistencies. Do you suspect something?
Well, one of the difficulties when they are in the midst of an investigation is they don't share a lot of information with you. So what we try to do is go ahead and do our own independent investigation. So irrespective of what the Village of Rosemont is doing and what Crown Plaza Hotel is doing, we're doing our own independent investigation so we can provide Ms. Martin with some answers.
We want to know this. We've heard people make testimonies about the video and what they saw on the video, and now we're hearing that there may not be videos, and that's what all the protests have been about. These young men, they have led protests, and people have come from all over the world, all over America, to be here to try to get some justice and try to get those tapes. Are there any tapes?
There are some videos. There are some things depicted on the videos, but we've not been produced any video that shows Kenneka Jenkins walking into a freezer, as had been represented on social media and other places.
Wow, that's really interesting because we've all heard these public testimonies from voices that we respect in many instances.
Absolutely.
That talk about video of her walking.
That is breaking news, that we have not seen any footage of Kenneka Jenkins. There has not
Walking
been
into
any
that
footage
freezer.
of her walking into a
Yes.
freezer. That is revelatory. Oh, man.
Yes, without a doubt.
Can you give any information about the autopsy? Is that conclusive on any points, or is that kind of, that's something you got to hold close to your chest?
We're still waiting to get final pathology results from the medical examiner's office. So, again, they're in the midst of their investigations. We're waiting on that information, but we're doing our own investigation as well.
Now, set the record straight for us, Counselor. Why have all the protests suddenly stopped?
I mean, I can't speak directly to that. I'm not involved in the protest efforts. I think, as you mentioned earlier, a lot of people have been touched by this story and what happened to this young lady. We've all been 18, 19 years old before, and there are just some significant questions that exist about how this can happen. How is a hotel allowing certain things to happen on its premises? Why are they maintaining operating freezers in closed portions of the hotel? Why aren't they paying attention to video which shows a young lady who's clearly disoriented and in need of assistance? Why isn't anybody doing it? It's amazing that someone could walk around the hotel in that fashion and not be noticed, observed, and approached to see exactly what was going on.
Did I understand you to say that these are freezers that were being operated in closed sections of the hotel?
Yeah, this portion of the hotel was closed at the time, meaning it was not in operation. But for some reason, this freezer that they had in the corner of the kitchen area. So there are a lot of questions that the Crown Plaza will have to answer, and we're looking into those things as we push forward.
You made a comment about the protesters. There were sustained protests, and I personally believe, this is me, Ira J. I believe initially protests were very helpful because it brought the needed attention. But sometimes many people have suggested that protests can sometimes go too long, and it defeats the purpose. But as an attorney, can you say you appreciated the protest at any point?
Well, again, I do what I do with or without protesting occurring.
Yeah.
So I think that a lot of the outpouring of support for Miss Martin was heartfelt. I think a lot of it was very genuine. I think she needed, and I know she appreciated that. Like you mentioned, there have been thousands and thousands of people who have expressed an interest in what happened. We've got a lot of people who think they are investigators, and some of them have some very good ideas. But I think the fact that we as a community are concerned that with what happened to this young lady is the way we should be with any and every death, and to see her get that type of support, I think, has been comforting to some extent for her.
But to me, there's a great deal of liability, no matter how when the rubber meets the road. There's something unfortunate, but something totally bizarre for this young lady or for anybody to even have access to this freezer.
Access, yeah.
Yeah, I absolutely agree, and those are some of the questions that we're pursuing answers as to from that hotel.
I mean, there's a certain amount of expectation that as a customer I have whenever I walk into a hotel to stay for the night, an expectation of security. And so I must say that I'm alarmed for a hotel of that size with a worldwide name.
Absolutely.
Not to have any more adequate security than what we've seen in this case. This case has revealed quite a bit.
Yeah, that's true, and I think again, people have become alarmed from across the country, and with exactly what happened here, and they'd like to get some answers, and we intend to get to the bottom of it.
And Counselor, I'm just going to tell you, we're hearing so many conspiracy theories about this particular hotel, body parts.
Yes.
I mean, I've heard it all. Can you comment on that?
All I can say about that is that I've seen those comments, and we've received phone calls and emails about those concerns, and we plan to look into each and every conspiracy theory that is reasonable to make sure that we don't leave any stones unturned and we get some answers to this mother. You know, when I first talked to her, she gave me a call and and she asked me for help. You know, she's really only wanted some help finding out what happened to her daughter. And I pledged to do that. Sam Adams Jr. pledged to do that, and we intend to do that.
Well, I know you're a busy man, and we appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule to get here on this station and talk to the people.
Yes.
People are hearing a whole lot of rumors, but now they're hearing a person who really is her representative. A lot of people present themselves as a representative. You are. Listen, the funeral is Saturday, and I just want to pause and just publicly thank the House of Hope, Salem Baptist Church, and Reverend James T. Meeks for opening their doors for this family.
Yes.
Because many times,
very gracious.
Yeah, it's
very gracious.
Awesome. Because many times churches are easy target.
And funerals are expensive.
Oh,
and
yeah.
when you're grieving and you're trying to get your family together and make funeral arrangements, there are so many different things that come into play here. So for him to step up and make this possible is a real blessing.
Thank you, Reverend Meeks. Counselor, any parting comments you'd like to make?
No, I agree with you, Reverend Meeks, and the House of Hope. She appreciates them stepping up and agreeing to have the funeral there at the House of Hope. And Spencer Leak and Sons also, they really stepped up for this young mother to help her bury her daughter with dignity. So, and thank you, Pastor Acree. You do a fantastic job. I appreciate you highlighting what's happening in the community, and whenever I can be of assistance or come on the show, I'm happy to do it.
We'll have you back. We're going to have you in the studio once they give us a third seat so we can
and we're working on that.
Interrogate you. Thank you so much, Counselor.
Okay.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
All right.
Very, very good. I think that the fact that we get some breaking news that all hands on deck is very important. And that breaking news was that no matter what you've heard, no matter what reports or testimonies you've heard, the truth of the matter is there has been no video produced as of yet.
No video.
That visibly show this young lady, Kenneka Jenkins, walking into the freezer at that hotel.
That was incredible.
That is incredible. And to know that these are indeed operating freezers in portions of the hotel that are closed but yet accessible, and there's no security camera that we know of.
Please spread the word. Those of you that are watching on television, those of you who are viewing us, Doris or myself, via Facebook Live, please share this. This information needs to get out right away. It needs to get out right away. Listen, we want to apologize to all of our callers. So many of you tried to call, and we had some incredible guests.
I know, but that's the thing with 30 minutes. It's hard to do, but we wanted to make sure that our guests had a chance to really get the facts out and express their opinions. I mean, Reverend Jackson, as you said, there isn't another person who is, we call them the talking heads. There is not another person, a talking head, that can analyze really the current events to the degree that Reverend Jackson
No one.
can.
He's very thoughtful individual, and he has the context.
He can break it down, really, into the kinds of details that we need to hear. And
so we'll have to talk again about Colin Kaepernick, because we have a movement in place. We have a movement.
We have a movement in place. That's right. The other thing is, don't believe it when you hear that the black coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers told his team not to kneel and not to go out. We found out today that also is not the truth.
Absolutely. Thanks so much for tuning in. Let's get the word out about Kenneka Jenkins. Their service is at House of Hope. Wake is at 11. Funeral is at 12. Reverend James T. Meeks is going to be delivering a eulogy. Body of Christ. I'm glad to be a part of that fraternity.
And our hearts go out to Teresa Martin.
It certainly does. Thank you so much. We'll be back again in a quarter. This is our final session for this season. But another season is coming. And I want to thank you from the depths of my heart for tuning in. You guys have been incredible.
Thank you so much. This has really been wonderful. We thank each of you, and we'll see you again real soon.
And until then, we'll continue to keep all hands on deck.
Yes, we will.
All right.